Thank you so much, Dr. Huntsman. Really appreciate that kind introduction. And hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you so much for making time to, out of your busy schedules, to join the presentation today. So today I'm going to be focusing on some departmental business. So I know that our grand rounds kind of rotate through various subjects, but today I'm going to present give an overview of one of the programs that I lead now. It's called the Canadian Microbiology Proficiency Testing Program, or CMPT for short. We are a clinical service and an external quality assessment provider. We are a quality partner for laboratories specifically that do microbiology testing. So in my presentation today, I hope you come away with a better understanding of who we are, what we do, how do we support diagnostic testing and quality, how are we organized, and how you might be able to get involved if you're interested. And I also welcome suggestions from all of you, either if there's time today during the presentation or after, please contact me to get ideas about how we might be able to achieve some of our strategic goals that we've set out, both in the short term and in the long term. So I just have a couple disclosures. I am an active advisor to the Foundation for Innovative New Diagnostics, supporting National Essential Diagnostics lists and being a voice for quality there. I'm also an advisor to WHO, and I'm a member of the TC212 Canadian Mirror Committee for the ISO 15189 standard. So those are my disclosures. So CMPT.
Lucy, this is David.
Yes.
David Johnson. Please, I wonder if you could change your slides to full screen view.
Oh, apologies.
That's okay. You're on the kind of working view. So
okay.
we can still see the bar with all the slides going down the side.
Mm-hmm.
Probably,
okay. So when I do from the when I click
presentation mode.
Yeah. So would it be then
if you go to the bottom of your thing, and there is a monitor seeing on the right, and beside the volume on the right hand side. So if you click there, it will be presentation mode.
Sorry, do that, Lucy. I don't know.
Sorry?
I just saw you click that button on the bottom there.
Yeah, so are you seeing my full screen now?
No. If you go to present online, does that help?
Let's try that. No, I don't think that's going to be it.
No, it's in PowerPoint. It would be the little icon at the bottom, which has like a full screen. If you maybe just double click it, and some magic may happen. Oh, we've lost
sometimes we're sharing it too.
How's this?
We are in business. I'm sorry
in business.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption there, but I thought that just in case some of your slides have smaller font, this may help. So thank you.
Okay, so you're seeing the full screen now?
Absolutely.
Great. Perfect. Okay, so what I was going to introduce here is really the role that CMPT plays as an external quality assessment partner for clinical laboratories. Clinical laboratories in Canada have to conform to the international standard for medical laboratories and ensuring quality. That's the ISO 15189 standard. In the standard, which was just recently revised and published in December of last year, it is still very clear that laboratories are required to participate in EQA programs and as part of their accreditation. So all diagnostic testing requires consistent and objective quality assurance oversight and evaluation to ensure that test results are accurate, timely, and reliable, and helps prevent unnecessary harm to patients. And this external quality assessment role is what CMPT does. So those of you who are active practitioners well know that throughout the total testing cycle, from both kind of pre-analytical through the analytical processes and post-analytical processes, every single step has to be managed to the highest quality. EQA programs can be designed in a manner that help evaluate processes at each of those steps. Our programs at CMPT, which are focused on microbiology laboratories specifically, we design our challenges so that we are helping laboratories identify potential sources of error in each of these steps, not just the analytical process. So again, quality, when we talk about quality, we're talking about accuracy, timeliness, and reliability of results. There are several causes and unfortunately some severe consequences of poor quality. And so, you know, we can have a number of different factors that influence why a test result might be false negative, false positive. That can lead to misdiagnosis, poor data for public health decision-making, and then ultimately, you know, poor patient care and treatment and poor health outcomes. So this is what we want to prevent and avoid through really that first step of identifying potential sources of error in the laboratory and working with labs to improve their processes and support their continuing education. So CMPT has been around for 40 years. We just celebrated 40-year anniversary. Was established in 1982 at the University of British Columbia. And because we are university-based, we really have an education-centric mission. We do provide a clinical service in the sense of formulating proficiency testing samples in our laboratory at the UBC hospital. But we, throughout our EQA programs, we really support the continual learning and education of practicing laboratorians. And so we really enjoy that relationship with our customers, and we work very closely with them. So for 40 years, CMPT has been recognized provincially, nationally, and internationally as a valued contributor of EQA innovation and education. We are very passionate educators and advocates for quality improvement and quality assurance. And we're really unique amongst the, I guess, field of EQA providers in the sense that we are university-based, we are peer-directed, we are peer-driven. We very much value this participation from our volunteer technical committee members. They bring expertise and relevancy and collaboration that's of real value and is quite innovative. Our values are really centered on customer service, innovation, education, quality assessment, and continual improvement. We are also unique in the sense that, unlike some other EQA providers, we formulate all of our challenges by hand. These are done, you know, by our amazing laboratory team. There's a picture of Mr. Caleb Lee there. They mimic real clinical specimens. They're realistic. They're not lyophilized. We try to often incorporate very complex flora, and to every extent possible, we really want these challenges to act like true clinical specimens, so they can be handled and processed by clinical labs in a manner similar to how they would receive samples from, you know, from the clinic. These challenges are devised through a peer-directed approach. So for every single program that we offer, we have a technical committee who works with me as the chair and the laboratory team to devise and design what the challenges will be for that year. So these are really valued volunteers that work with us on a regular basis. We meet quarterly and we come together for an annual meeting. CMPT is a not-for-profit service. So we do charge our customers for time and materials for our challenges, but we are essentially a not-for-profit service. As I mentioned, our CMPT advisory committees are really a unique aspect of our program. They, you know, in addition to helping us design those challenges, They also support data review and grading of those challenges. There's often very robust debate amongst the committee members, and it's really through a consensus-based process in which we give our grades to our customers. So this is of real value to us in our design. This is a picture from our meeting last October. So we work hard, but we also have some fun. As I said, CMPT turned 40 last year. There's Dr. Noble cutting our cake, and we do try to have a good time, even though the team works incredibly hard. So why do we do this? We do this because we want to help our customers find gaps in their testing process. We want to help labs detect potential sources of error. And ultimately, this is really applied quality research. And we are sitting on quite a lot of data, and we've started to look into that. And I'm going to present an example in a little bit here about our experience with COVID-19 proficiency testing and helping to support the quality of COVID-19 testing. So this is an active area for us. We implement a number of proficiency testing schemes, and these can be provided direct to our customers where there's a relationship between CMPT and our labs, or we can also supply distributors, other EQA providers, with our samples, and then they would then distribute those challenges and manage that data. So we kind of operate in these two pillars of work. We have many programs. Some of them are shown here, and I'm going to show you here in this graph. This is a stacked bar that shows kind of on the right side some of our kind of key programs and the number of sites enrolled over time. This is a 20-year look back in our history. And you can see how some programs have gone down. That's often a reflection of a changing laboratory landscape. There has been consolidation of laboratory services across Canada, and so that will impact our programs as well. And then there's areas of growth where you can see for 21-22, you have the gray bar at the top there, and that represents the new SARS-2 EQA program that we launched. So a number of sites that enroll every single year across Canada and the world hover around between 300 and 400, and we're really hoping to grow that. So here's a map showing kind of the distribution of public labs that are supported by CMPT across Canada. Quite a lot in BC, as you can see, but we have customers all over. This is a distribution of private labs that are supported. Not as many as the public sector, but again, this is an area of growth for us. And again, really dominated by enrollment from BC, but good representation from across the country. We also have some international subscribers, and because we have really done robust stability studies with our challenges, they are stable. Most of them are stable out to 21 days, and so they will be viable and of high quality, even in an international shipping process. So again, this is another area of opportunity for us where that makes sense. And it's been fun to kind of work with international partners and labs. So as I mentioned, we are really firmly rooted in education. And so these EQA challenges that we implement are not just about giving out grades to our labs and seeing that as kind of a punitive exercise, but really it's about helping them identify where they're going wrong in their process and working with them to improve. So we use a lot of our challenges as continuing education materials, and we have a continuing professional development course that we run every year where we use these challenges, and it's a really nice source of education for working professionals. We're also active in quality research, and so as I said, I'll present an example here shortly about our experience with COVID-19 and assessing kind of what's the impact of participation in an EQA program on testing. And then we're also very actively involved in international EQA training programs. Dr. Noble had started this in kind of pursuing this in two ways. The first is bringing people from other countries to CMPT, to the lab, to learn how to make proficiency testing challenges for microbiology, and then going back home and doing that, replicating that in their labs. We've also, he's also gone to do training in situ in other countries and provide training that way. So this is another area of our education that we'd like to grow. So what are some important questions that we're asking? Well, the first has to do with what is the impact of participating in the EQA program on test accuracy, reliability, and timeliness? How about on quality service delivery? We also have to monitor kind of how the diagnostic landscape is changing as point of care testing becomes more widespread. How can we as an EQA provider help sites who may not be so accustomed to quality assurance principles and practices and make sure that they're meeting their quality standards? We can also be looking at EQA performance by testing sites. So is a site that is more community-based or in the public sector, does their performance differ from that in the private sector, and it's laboratory-based? Are there differences in performance between the types of testers? Comparing someone doing testing that's a trained laboratory professional versus someone who might be a community healthcare worker, for example. And then as we grow, we're looking at what is the unmet need in microbiology for patient care and public health. Again, as the diagnostic landscape changes and there's a trend towards more kind of lower complexity and handhelds, how can we be a voice for quality, making sure that those tests are performing as expected and to a high quality standard? So let me just inform you about kind of how we're organized. We're a small but mighty team. Again, we have these volunteered expert committees that help inform each of our programs. CMPT is led by our program coordinator, Esther Kwok. We have a very important role, the editor role, which supports all of our data and communication with our technical committees. That's Veronica Rastelli. And the lead in the laboratory is Mr. Caleb Lee. He's our senior technologist, and he oversees the other technologists in the lab. Right now, we have Ms. Mahfuza Shreya. She's a BLMSC graduate. She's been with us for over a year. And we have Denise Hilker as well on the admin side, supporting Esther with all of our many customer demands. This year, we brought on Dr. Rani Vimalanathan to take over the research and development of our new virology program. We're expanding beyond COVID-19 testing into addressing quality for other clinically relevant respiratory viruses. And we're doing some active recruitment for more technologist support, as well as a communications assistant. Because we're university-based, we have an opportunity to provide opportunities to students. And so CMPT has been a home this past year to several interns. Ria and Shreya Gandhi started working with CMPT in September, and we have Anna and Jennifer starting with us this term. And CMPT is really a nice home for students to get both exposure to kind of wet lab techniques and then also data analysis and looking at the impact of our program and doing quality research. This past year, again, since this is a departmental business meeting, I wanted to just let you all know we've gone through some strategic planning as kind of an internal program and done some goal setting about, where do we want to be in the short term and in the long term. What's of really high value to us, and then how does that fit within the department's larger strategic plans? We went through a SWOT analysis and took a look at our strengths and our weaknesses. What are the threats to our business? And then we did some goal setting and created some very clear, smart objectives and did some action planning to kind of operationalize these goals and do some resource mapping. So one of our core values really is investing in ourselves as an organization so that we can not only continue to maintain the programs that we already run a very successful way, but also to be able to grow. And then it comes all down to our people, right? This is just a quick map from a picture of our resource mapping. Looking at the year ahead and going through this exercise was fun. So what goals did we set out? So we, of course, want to maintain our quality and our reputation and our relevance. We are ISO accredited to 17043 as an EQA provider, and we're 9001 certified. And those markers are very important to us. They add credibility and cachet to our program. And that's maintenance of those is of high value to us. We would like to grow our portfolio of EQA programs, particularly in virology to start, but that can expand to other pathogens of concern as the need arises. And we also have an opportunity to expand into supporting more public health and safety. We're launching a new program to support laboratories that do testing for cannabis, microbiological contamination. And that's a pilot that we're going to be launching next week. So that's very exciting. And that's in collaboration with Proficiency Testing Canada, who is a distributor. So we'll be making these challenges and sending them to PTC for that partnership. We'd like to increase enrollment and the reach of our programs. So this could be, particularly related to the private sector. We'd like to see increased enrollment from other provinces and really expand the kind of our footprint beyond BC. There's opportunities there. We'd like to increase the rigor of our program data analysis and dissemination, and that's through publications, conferences, industry meetings, and that will also in turn improve the visibility of CMPT as an EQA provider, as a quality partner. We'd like to expand our educational programs. We have this continuing professional development course already, but we did recently receive funding from the CLAF fund to launch a brand new course in antimicrobial susceptibility testing and interpretation. And we are currently developing content for that now, and that's due to launch in September of this year. So that's really exciting and taps into our expertise. We'd like to support diversity of and opportunities for more practitioners in BC and across Canada to get involved with CMPT through our technical committees. Again, these are volunteer opportunities, but it's a great way to stay connected and relevant and kind of close to the work at hand and laboratories. And so that's definitely of interest. We want to strengthen our collaborations with quality partners. So the accrediting body in BC, the Diagnostic Accreditation Program, or DAP, we've enjoyed a collaboration with them through COVID-19, but expanding that partnership even further, and also with other EQA providers. EQUAM is a consortium of European-based EQA providers, and we've enjoyed a stronger relationship with them recently. What's really important to me is cultivating an organizational structure at CMPT in this program that creates opportunities for our staff to grow, to learn, to grow in their career, and give opportunities to be more visible and take on new challenges should they like. So, and lastly, and importantly, there are things within our own operations that we're working to improve our own internal processes. We're going through a number of quality improvement initiatives at CMPT, just kind of getting our own house in order. And so that's been a lot of work this past year. And thanks to the team for being willing to take these on and take on some change. So lots going on at CMPT, but I wanted to take a moment to share some of the data that we have from our COVID-19 program. So let's take a look at the impact of CMPT on that. So as you all know, in response to the global pandemic, there was a rapid and really unprecedented scale up of the development of in vitro diagnostics. And then following that, the large volume of testing being performed both in laboratories and also, what we would consider community-based testing, even self-testing. So for some countries, like in Canada, for the very first time in history, diagnostic testing for both patient care and public health and surveillance was being authorized for multiple commercial test platforms and being done outside the typical laboratory setting. The incidence and prevalence of testing data informed, and in many cases directed, patient care and treatment and public health. The data significantly influenced public health and local policy, really at every level of society, as we know in Canada, was no exception. Between February of 2020 and December of 22, there was over 4 million tests confirmed cases in Canada. Unfortunately, over 48,000 deaths related to COVID as of this past December. Nucleic acid amplification tests, or NATs, were really adopted as the laboratory gold standard for viral detection due to their high sensitivity and specificity. However, the addition of and scale up of antigen tests, or what we call for short RADs, has also become an essential tool for community-based testing and establishing quarantine, informing quarantine decisions. So as I said, for the first time in history, this was in Canada, this was being done outside of labs, and quality assurance had to be improved for this type of testing. So many of these facilities, these community-based facilities, were provided with antigen or nucleic acid systems. These assays were classified as low complexity and not requiring special technical knowledge to use, and assumed that the test could be performed by non-lab professionals, which they very much were. Studies were shown that these had a sensitivity and specificity range between 78 and 99.5% for the RAD assays, and much higher specificities and sensitivities for the nucleic acid tests, and particularly with very symptomatic individuals with positive viral culture. So to date, millions and millions of nucleic acid tests and rapid antigen tests have been performed. As some of you know, each province in Canada is responsible for setting the regulatory process for diagnostic testing. In BC, that agency is DAP. It's a program of the College of Physicians and Surgeons, and sites must be accredited by DAP in order to maintain their license for testing. Maintaining their license for testing requires participation in an EQA program. EQA programs are really essential for ensuring the quality of testing, especially accuracy. And at the time of this outbreak, there was not a Canadian or BC-based provider for COVID-19 EQA. So this created an opportunity for CMPT. So starting in January of 2021, for about 3 months, CMPT conducted research and development on appropriate challenges and formulations, and had consultation with health authorities, BC CDC, DAP, and really worked together to help inform what this new EQA program should be. The design was also informed by 40 years of CMPT experience, and through this collaboration and information, CMPT was then really well positioned to go ahead and start formulating the challenges. That started in, the first shipment went out in March of 2021, and each program year consisted of 6 shipments, each shipment containing a set of 4 samples, either positive for the virus and formulated to result in an either strong, medium, or weak signal, or a negative. And the raw material for these challenges was provided by BC CDC, and thanks to Agatha Jassam and Mel Krajden and the team there for supplying that with us. They were responsible for growing up the virus and inactivating it using a BPL method. The titer was really quite high and was good, and the CT value was also excellent prior to CMPT obtaining the material and making our challenges. This is an example of kind of what a challenge set might look like. So these would be blinded. The contents of each vial would not be known to the operator, to the labs that received the challenges. And so these samples were randomized, and laboratories had 2 weeks to run the samples and return their results. As I mentioned, just like all of our EQA programs, our proficiency testing panels undergo rigorous stability testing to make sure that they can retain their viability, their quality up to 21 days post-shipment. Again, this was whole inactivated virus, and so really highly stable and formulated to mimic respiratory specimens. And so most of our shipments would arrive within just a couple days to the laboratory. And again, they had 2 weeks to return the results. We are very careful as quality partners to provide really clear instructions to our laboratories. So we provided that in both written form and an online format to inform the testers how they should process the sample and how to report the results. We gave sites very clear instructions on how to swab the sample tube and process it. As I mentioned, each vial was intended to be processed individually, but blinded and kind of unknown to the tester. And we also established a helpline, and we have a portal where our customers can contact us with questions. They can also call if they have any problems at all. And we provided technical support on an ongoing basis and as needed. So results reporting was required within 14 days, and that was also in accordance with provincial policy and a desire for near real-time quality assurance and oversight of testing. All of the results were entered using the CMPT member portal, which is secured behind a firewall, password protected, and is private. So laboratories can see aggregated data that's de-identified, and they can see their own, but they can't see other people's, other laboratories' performance as that data is de-identified. Immediately after result submission, grading is conducted and participants are informed of their results. That's sent to them through official report letters. And that letter is also sent to the accrediting body, DEP in the case of BC, or other accrediting body. And then after the survey deadline passes, we'll go ahead and we'll aggregate that data and analyze it. We looked at test performance, stratified by test method, whether that's nucleic acid or it's rapid antigen test. And we tried to look at other variables that might influence test results as well. Testing sites that did not report results within the due date are graded as unacceptable. And where there is not consensus amongst laboratories and amongst our reference laboratories at 80% consensus, we do not grade that particular challenge. It's just CMPT working policy. So how was our enrollment? Well, it was pretty good. It grew significantly from the launch in March. Initially, it was 23 testing sites, and then it grew to over 100 sites by March of last year. It included our cohort included both public and private sectors, included laboratories and community-based testing locations, and we had enrollment pretty much from every province as well, which was nice. As available technologies and testing instruments also started to proliferate, CMPT adapted its samples to meet those needs. We started to include, as I mentioned before, a medium strength type of a challenge, which helped capture inconsistencies for the rapid antigen testing, which I'll show in a minute. And so enrollment really rapidly increased. I'll show you here in this graph. This is the total number of participants covering from the start of the program in March of 21 through November of this past year. And you can see peak enrollment occurred in July of last year at 110 sites, and has fallen off recently, although enrollment has sustained. as we look at subscriptions that are coming in for this coming year. When we look at the types of tests that are being employed, we had predominantly sites that were doing rapid antigen testing. That enrollment peaked in May, as you can see there, with over 60 sites doing testing there. This is all this data was just recently written up in a paper that we submitted to PLOS Global Health. There's a special issue on diagnostics. There was a call for papers, and Veronica was the lead author on this paper. And so we're hoping for a positive review. When we look at the types of the test methods, the test platforms and manufacturers for both rapid antigen tests and nucleic acid tests, we wanted to kind of see what the breadth was there. And as you can see, quite a number of different methodologies being employed. On the antigen testing side, the Abbott PanBio test kit was the most widely used. And on nucleic acid side, it was the Abbott ID Now. Enrollment in our EQA program significantly improved the accuracy of testing by sites that were enrolled in, particularly for rapid antigen testing. When we first launched the program in March of 21, sites doing rapid antigen testing had about a 46% accuracy rate. And over time, or by January of 2022, we were able to help those sites increase their accuracy and then sustain that, as you can see, from 91% all the way up to 95% as recently as November. So that's an increase from 46 to 91% and sustaining. Now, sites doing nucleic acid-based testing right out of the gate were their percent correct for each challenge was really quite good. But as you can see, really remarkable impact on sites doing antigen testing. This is combined for both antigen and nucleic acid testing. But what you can see is the overall trend there, that EQA participation really significantly improved test accuracy over time. So this is the number, the percent of correct reports, result reports coming in. This table here is looking at, again, once we were able to introduce a medium positive challenge, again, being able to get really granular with these sites doing rapid antigen testing and help them identify, inconsistencies and potential misses by using this medium positive sample. We think that inclusion of a medium positive sample like this, and particularly for antigen-based testing, is probably going to be just a best practice to continue. And I'll say more about that in a minute. So we were really able to help these sites improve their accuracy over time. Results reported for the strong positive and the negative sample were somewhat more consistent. But again, as I said, the use of this medium positive really helped us elucidate challenges at those testing sites. So what are our key points and some lessons learned? So inclusion of testing sites from both public and private sectors is very helpful, as well as considering the testing location type, the test volume, the population service covered. Those are all considerations that, for a public health response like this is really, really important in supporting near real-time interventions. We observed that also the high frequency of the design of our proficiency testing surveys, this was 6 times a year, really allowed for more kind of real-time intervention and monitoring. We have since decreased this now to 4 times a year. Given the state of our of the pandemic, and so that was also kind of a critical success factor. Our experience with this program also revealed some important limitations and issues to consider, and so particularly for rapid antigen testing, where much of that is being done outside the clinical lab setting, it really highlights the need for supportive supervision and mentorship and retraining if necessary, and also highlights the role of collaboration in that, as BCCDC often was called to support the kind of technical troubleshooting for some of these sites. There's really great opportunity to support the education for people doing testing for the first time. And really, CMPT as an EQA provider really helped in that, both in a kind of an evidence-based way, and then also as our position in the university really enabled us to do that. In a survey that we conducted, it was very interesting to find that about a third of our responders indicated they had never heard about proficiency testing before and were really unaware of the process and the requirements. And so educating people about not only the requirement, but also the processes of participating in EQA and its value as an education tool is something that we can try to build on. So again, this, as I mentioned, that inclusion of that medium positive sample was really an advantage here. That was an intervention we introduced shortly after the program launched. And so, we saw consistently that testing sites kind of struggled to get accurate results for this middle sample type when using rapid antigen testing. And so inclusion of a challenge like this is going to be of high value to continue going forward. Coaching, training, and mentoring really showed to improve the performance of these labs doing rapid antigen testing to basically achieve the same results had they been using nucleic acid methods. And we were able to monitor and measure that change and that improvement just within the first year of our program. So although the typical frequency of CMPT, the proficiency testing surveys is usually 2 to 3 challenges a year. As I said, the higher frequency of challenges at 6 times a year here in the case for COVID was really a helpful and impactful change that we made. We really adapted the way we did. We usually implement EQA programs, and so this really allowed us to be very kind of close to what was happening on the ground. And be able to collaborate with our partners and inform them. Formulating these challenges and kind of monitoring various technologies that were being employed by labs really presented a novel challenge, and it was a constant ball to kind of watch as an EQA provider. And so we were constantly adapting and formulating samples that would be relevant and be of value. So that presented a new challenge to CMPT in its history. But CMPT demonstrated versatility and creativity in the design of those challenges. And I think our customers really appreciated our kind of approach to customer service and supporting them. So key takeaways here, decentralized lower complexity testing that's done at the community level, performed outside of a clinical laboratory, is of increasing trend across the world, not just in Canada. And, there's certainly very strong cases to be made about how these interventions have enabled improvements in across many disease programs. HIV in particular, with the test and start policy, relies heavily on community-based testing, even self-testing, and it does remain a shining example of how disruptive in vitro diagnostics and handhelds can really improve public health. That said, having a robust post-marketing surveillance program in place, requiring enrollment in an EQA program like the one CMPT implemented for COVID-19 is really are critical pillars of the quality assurance oversight, and that it cannot be overlooked, particularly when the consequences of pharmaceutical treatment and impact to patient care and mental health can be quite severe. So in summary, this body of experience really reinforces the value of stakeholder collaboration in quality assurance of diagnostic testing and in our support of both patient care and public health. So as I said before, regardless of where testing is performed, there needs to be a robust EQA program in place and really helping to ensure data quality. CMPT has been critical in supporting the quality of COVID-19 testing and that data, and the flexibility of our program to adapt kind of while it's being implemented, I think was really a strength of ours. And the inclusion of that medium positive sample was really a good intervention. We should continue to support our testers and provide ongoing supportive supervision and training as needed. And that's a big role that we play. So in summary, CMPT is doing very well amidst ongoing competition from other EQA providers. And even though there is an ever-changing diagnostic landscape in Canada and in the world, I think in summary, there's a lot of new opportunities for CMPT that could be created, moving again more into or expanding into more public health and safety. Very excited about the cannabis microbiology program that we're launching. But in 3 to 5 years, we could think about adding programs that support laboratories that test food and beverages, cosmetics, et cetera. So the success requires us to celebrate and reflect on what worked well and what hasn't, and we have to plan for the future, right? So let me just share a little funny anecdote from the old TV show I Love Lucy. So there's this one episode that ran where the scene opens up and Ricky comes in to the living room. He comes home from work and finds Lucy crawling around on the floor on her hands and knees, and he says, what are you doing? And she says, I'm looking for my earrings. And then Ricky says, wait, you lost your earrings in the living room? And she says, no, I lost them in the bedroom, but the light is so much better out here. And so I just think that's a wonderful lesson to not just always be looking kind of in the light and where the light is shining, but look in the shadows too and be mindful of what you might be missing. So that's an active process of ours. So I want to thank the Donald B. Ricks Family Foundation for their very generous support for the position. I want to thank my predecessor, Dr. Michael Noble, for all of his leadership and support in the transition when I came on board. Thanks to the department, Dr. Gao and Genevieve, and all of the finance, operations, and HR team. You guys, you're amazing. And of course, the CMPT staff, Esther, Caleb, Veronica, Silverani, Mafuza, Sammy, and Shadi, and as well as our interns, Ria and Shreya, and Jennifer and Anna, who are coming on board. A special thanks to our technical committee members, who are too many to be named here, and our partners in BC and elsewhere. You are very much appreciated. As I mentioned, all funding for CMPT comes through a fee-for-service mechanism. We are, again, nonprofit, but we're financed through this mechanism. So with that, I say thank you and merci, and want you to please mark your calendars for our upcoming Laboratory Quality Conference, which we're planning for June 19th to 20th, and that'll be held on campus. Details to come. So I look forward to hearing from you. I hope you're excited by this presentation and inspired to come join us. So thank you very much.